Welcome. I am Daisy, your hostess. If you're looking to create better outcomes in your life, to harness control of your thinking or to manage your emotions a bit more, this book might help you. It is titled Creative Thought by Benjamin Johnson. It may provide a key or two that will help you unlock a better understanding on how to achieve that. These next few chapters are going into the heart of the topic of constructive thinking and how to go beyond that. And we'll go into the benefits and how to impress the mind with what it needs to create, over time, life-changing habits. It is important not to confuse constructive thinking with positive thinking, considering that positive thinking focuses on maintaining an optimistic attitude in prioritizing affirmations, emotions, and positive beliefs during times of adversity as well in ordinary life. While on the other hand, constructive thinking, while likewise deliberate in intent of application, it requires looking deeper into our actions and the causes of our actions, aiming for a practical and proactive approach to solving daily issues. Yet, these two combined, according to scholars, can drastically over time provide for psychological and physical well-being, as it is said to lower rates of depression, lower levels of distress and pain, and greater resistance to illnesses. Think on this, no pun intended here asking you to think, yet it is said that constructive thinking promotes self-awareness because as you look deeper for the causes of why you react a certain way, it helps you identify and understand your emotional triggers, and in turn empowers you to respond rather than to react, fostering healthier interactions. And wow, isn't that refreshing? Imagine that, you responding to situations in life versus reacting, you being in control of your human beingness versus your emotions dictating how to act. What a novel idea that could be, that so much is within your power through constructive thinking. If you are new to my channel, please visit my playlist as I do have the previous chapters there. And to my family, friends, and subscribers, welcome back. I do hope that you'll find some benefits for you. Let me know you were here. Leave a comment. Thank you. I now turn the page. Chapter 8. Thinking Constructively. Sow a thought and reap an act. Sow an act and reap a habit. Sow a habit and reap a character. Sow a character and reap a destiny. No matter how well you're doing today, the most natural feeling in the world is the desire to do still better. The hardest thing, though, is to admit that you can do far better than you are doing right now by using greater care in your work, better judgment, and more energy. A really capable person can never be discouraged, kept down, underpaid, or undervalued. If you're not getting what you are worth, look over your garden of thoughts and commence a weeding out process. You will need it, or otherwise you would be desiring one thing and possessing another. Of course, you are like many others who feel the only way to secure their heart's desire or gratify their life's ambition is to go away, try some new occupation, meet different people. In short, do anything rather than make good here and now. What shall I do? Where shall I go? How shall I begin? Are the questions one hears every day. The answer is the same to every question, in every age, in every country, to everybody. First of all, overcome yourself by eliminating your faults and cultivating your best qualities in your present environment, keeping the truth constantly before you. That success is yours when you have learned to ask wisely, plan clearly, act promptly, and use daily the forces of your two minds, the conscious and the subconscious. Your experience may be compared to that of the young writer who sought vainly in his village for materials from which he could construct a wonderful novel. While he was searching, a renowned writer came to the town. The youthful genius obtained an interview and asked eagerly, "Where shall I look for the plot for the book I desire to write?" The renowned writer smiled at him kindly and then said, "My boy, unless you can find a plot in your mother's backyard, you will never make a writer." So with you, if you desire what you have not, stop complaining about it or about other people. Overcoming is a term you are to use literally by becoming master of the situation. Railing at conditions, whining over hard luck, telling how sick you have been or what an operation you had, bringing up disagreeable reminiscences, minding the business of other people, gossiping, attributing failure to hard times or location or the influence of others, declaring, "Some people have luck, but I have to work hard and for all I get," or "I never get what I want," and the use of similar expressions. All these things must be stopped. But you must gather and guard your thought as well as your speech. Insist that you have certain qualities of mind. Know that certain thoughts are dangerous and harmful. Keep at your work of replacing till you know you are thinking constructively, and your first victory will have been gained. The more difficult your situation, the more trying your associates, the greater the victory. When, under such conditions, you can so master yourself as to alter your habit of thought. You will be surprised at the change in your tastes, your desires, even in your affections as you progress. You will become more charitable because you will see, when others do wrong, that it is because they have been thinking destructively, and they themselves must pay the penalty. You will stop looking for sympathy as you learn how silly it is to feel sorry for yourself because your feelings have been hurt. No one can hurt your feelings unless you allow them to do so. You won't be snubbed because to feel anyone has slighted you and thus upset you is being foolish enough to punish yourself for the other person's fault. You will stop crying or pouting over trifles or indulging in fits of the blues, not only because they are not consistent with constructive thought, but also because they hurt your personal appearance. You will see good qualities in everyone, including the people you formerly regarded as enemies, and you will listen to criticism from those you have formerly disliked with a feeling of gratitude, because you have learned the lesson that the wise man throws himself on the side of his assailants, for it is more to his interest than it is to theirs to find his weak points. You will even develop to such an extent that you will refuse to listen to evil stories about others, remembering the old saying that the itching ear betrays the forked tongue, and you will wish to avoid temptation. Finally, you will find, as a result of all these improvements, that no matter who is discussed, you will be able to find something good to say, rather than something bad to add zest to the conversation. By this time, your ideas of what you desire will also have changed materially, and you will realize the common sense idea of allowing the voice from within to suggest what is best for you, rather than be influenced by the suggestions of your associates who are thinking along different lines. It is well to commence by choosing something you know you need, then feel you can acquire it, see yourself possessing it, and live as though you already had it. By keeping the thought, you will soon see the value of thinking constructively. Then you can pass on to bigger things. Ideas naturally vary. One woman may want to study and excel in music. Another wants a beautiful home. Still another's fancy takes her to Europe. Another wants a prosperous business. While one may desire to write, very well then, see yourself receiving the applause of the multitude for your music, living in the beautiful home, traveling abroad, conducting a splendidly paying business, or writing popular books. Furthermore, every effort that can tend toward helping the realization of this desire must be made each day. All thought and no effort would be a very slow method of accomplishing results. Before commencing serious work in the directions of working for that which is desired, you must be sure that you do desire it more than anything else, and that you have a clear idea of just what you want and how you want it. If your picture is vague and cloudy, your realization will be the same. If you change your mind frequently, you will delay your progress accordingly. If you allow doubt or depression or fear to enter your mind, you will not be able to progress at all. Chapter 9. The Subconscious Mind. It is through the subconscious self that Shakespeare must have perceived, without effort, great truths which are hidden from the conscious mind of the student. that Phidias worked in marble and bronze, that Ralph painted the Madonna, and Beethoven composed symphonies. Having become absolutely certain that you desire certain things and that you can keep your mind concentrated upon this desire, the next step on the road to success depends upon the understanding and use of your two minds. To show you the powerful influence of this other mind that all possess but so few use, it may be well to know that the greatest students have conceded that when one is depending upon the conscious mind alone, but from 3 to 10% of oneself is put into expression. One scientist declares at least 90% of our mental operations are subconscious. We sit and try to solve a problem and fail. Suddenly, an idea dawns that leads to the solution of the problem. The subconscious processes were at work. We do not volitionally create our own thinking. It takes place within us. We are more or less passive recipients. In order that everyone may understand at least his possession of two minds, let us compare them. Your conscious mind directs your most important actions, controls the voluntary motions, reasons, compares, weighs, measures, tastes, hears, smells, sees, feels, and controls the cerebrospinal nervous system. The subconscious mind controls the digestion, circulation, elimination, respiration, and involuntary action. It directs the life forces where to manifest and where to seize. It is a register for events in your life, for every word spoken or heard, for every thought, whether for good or evil, and controls the sympathetic nervous system. It is this mind that warns one against false friends, suggests certain procedures, and tells one that a deed is right or wrong. Many people who would refuse to listen to the idea of having two minds will at the same time insist that whenever they follow a hunch, they are right. Hunches or mental warnings are nothing but the answers sent back from the subconscious mind to the desire expressed by the conscious mind for guidance or wisdom. While under an anesthetic or asleep, the conscious mind is inert. The subconscious mind cannot rest a moment because it has a charge of the respiration, digestion, and circulation. The conscious mind voices a thought or thinks deeply, and the subconscious registers that thought exactly as the wax cylinder of the dictaphone registers the voice. Consequently, you can get back from the subconscious mind only that which you have given it. For instance, to use a familiar example, let us compare the use of the conscious and subconscious to the act of churning butter. The subconscious has a memory and record of all events, both good and evil. The conscious mind requests the subconscious to work upon a certain problem, saying, "I desire the best result and want your help on the solution of this problem," naming anything desired. Immediately, the subconscious mind sets to work just as the churn would be used in the cream, separating the thought materials into thought forms that may be used by the conscious mind just as the hands would use a material object. If the process of churning is interrupted from time to time and the attention deflected, results will, of course, be correspondingly slow. For this reason, after a request is made, the conscious mind must not allow emotions such as anger, doubt, or fear to be expressed or held for one instant. In addition to the desire to accomplish a certain result, there must also be faith that this desire will be granted, and this calm, positive condition must be held constantly until the results have been attained. One of the most common examples of how not to obtain help from the subconscious mind may be noted in the use of the following expressions, so frequently heard. "I want to succeed, but what is the use? I never have any luck." Or, "I want to study, but I can't get time to read." Or, "I want to be popular, but people do not like me." Or, "I want a better position, but I am afraid to seek it." The very people who voice these expressions will declare that they want a thing with all their hearts. In reality, they have not even commenced to want anything because, if they really wanted and believed, they could say to others as well as to themselves, "We want to succeed and we're going to do it." and they would stick to this assertion until they achieved their desire, in spite of wind, weather, or woeful tribulations. Chapter 10. Impressing the subconscious, selecting your mental pattern. The eye that never falters, the nerve that never weakens, the courage that is never wanting, these are the factors necessary for success. The man who would build a castle would never go in search of a hovel to use a pattern, nor would he begin his plan by allowing his mind to dwell on the cheapest, poorest dwelling he had ever beheld. Instead, he lives with his head in the clouds, drawing mental pictures of this wondrous construction of massive stones, huge archways, marble balustrades, winding corridors made from selected onyx. He sees spacious grounds filled with miniature lakes, fountains fringed with choicest ferns, conservatories in which rare flowers from every part of the world are growing. When he gives to the world his vision, men crown him as a genius. He has but created his mental image and then built his habit of thought about it. So with us in our daily work, if we plan for the best, with the best, failing to recognize any hindrances, but seeing ahead always the finished and perfected ideal, we can attain to heights that were otherwise absolutely beyond our wildest imaginings. Our lives are limited only by our thoughts. The sun shines on all alike, rich and poor. The rain falls on all alike, the just and the unjust. The optimist and the pessimist walk side by side down the same street, seeing the same people, hearing the same conversations, and each one returns filled with proofs of his own belief, which he has secured through his own mental deductions. Two artists enter the same class at the same time. One becomes famous, the other a failure. Yet the instruction, the palettes, and the paints were the same. One saw clearly that which he desired to reproduce, the other had but a hazy vision, and this was all he could give to the world. Two housewives have the same amount of income. The one is happy, well clothed, and lives in comfort. The other is shabby, uncomfortable, wrangles with everyone, blaming the world for her misfortunes. So instances might be multiplied indefinitely in which absolute proof could be given that the degree of success attained means, invariably, the proficiency with which constructive thought is used. No matter what you desire, do not put a limit on it. Once you know what you desire, keep on desiring it and believing that you will get it. To wish for wealth for 5 minutes a day and talk hard times and lack for 5 or 10 hours can bring you nothing. If you desire abundance, consider that it means not only enough for all your needs, but a surplus besides. You have tried the old way, imagined, experienced, and suffered from lack. Now try the new way. Think abundance, talk abundance, believe in it, and assert it. You realize that there is more than enough air for everyone to breathe, and that pure air supplies the blood with oxygen and revitalizes the body. Yet, not one person in 10 remembers to take advantage of this abundance of air. Hence, thousands of people die daily because they do not think about breathing properly every time they have the opportunity. Consider abundance in the same way. Feel as though you were floating in a very sea of abundance, then proceed to think constructively until your mind becomes so stimulated, electrified, and magnetized that everything necessary to produce abundance that comes in your vicinity will be attracted to you, as the ordinary magnet attracts the steel filings. Many people ask, how can we declare we have abundance when our pockets are empty, our bills are unpaid, and we lack for necessities? This is a hard question, but the fact remains that if you are capable of thinking abundance and sticking to it in spite of what you see, you can be sure of realizing quickly something for your immediate needs, because you are putting yourself in relation with the current of abundance. The loaves and fishes fed a multitude in olden times, and the truth of the parable is the same now as then. If you are through with poverty, stop talking or thinking about it. Think, feel, and talk plenty instead. Stop saying, I would love to have a Pekin model, but I can't afford it. Either say nothing at all, or else, if questioned, say, I prefer to use my money in some other way. Stop talking about the unemployed and those who are living in abject poverty. Help them, certainly, remembering as you do so that many of them will always be as they are because of lack of desire to be anything else. Stop conversing with everyone you meet about the lack of money and the hard times and the failures. All of these subjects are connected with destructive thought and are not visitors in the portion of your mind which you are endeavoring to improve. So you see, it all comes back to you and what you want. Your absolute certainty that you want certain things with all the force and strength that there is in you is the first necessary factor of success. Now, do not get impatient at the constant repetition of being sure of what you want. Try and experiment upon your friends as well as with yourself. The best-known psychologists have declared that the one reason why the majority of people do not get what they want is because they do not desire the same thing 3 days in succession, and consequently, progress in attainment is impossible. For your own satisfaction, get 10 young women to write down what they really desire, and in 3 days' time, ask them again. In another 3, ask them once more. You will find in their cases, as in your own, not 1 out of 10 will even remember just how she worded her request, and the great number of them will say, I think I would rather have this. In order to train yourself for the work of acquiring that which you desire, you must first consider the subject carefully. Then write down clearly what you want, being careful not to say, I want to attain a certain state at a definite time. The time limit must not enter into any calculation. Just make your request. Read it the next morning and keep on reading it every day for a week. If at the end of that time you still feel the same, you must be reasonably certain that you do know what you want, and then you may go on to the work of learning how to use the subconscious mind for producing the desired results. Chapter 11. Using the subconscious under the best conditions. When I desire to plan great things, I go to the woods, throw myself on the ground, and there, away from the chatter and clatter of the world, in the great silence, I lose my petty self and become one with the universal consciousness. And apart from all that would confuse me, I become able to dare all, do all, and become all I would be. The habit of getting away from people for even a little time so that one may think without interruption is one to be cultivated. There are many expressions for this being alone. Some people call it concentration, others going into the silence. I say it is just getting away from the outside world so that I may get in touch with the world inside. Before instructing the subconscious, the mind should be free from worry, clear and harmonious. A very simple rule easily practices this. Either on retiring or at any more convenient time in the day, take 15 or 30 minutes, which you may devote to yourself. Open the window, breathe rhythmically and deeply, keeping your mind intent on the question of improving yourself. Relax every muscle in the body so that there is no tenseness to be felt anywhere, and imagine yourself to be receiving from the universal consciousness rays of happiness, success, and abundance. In reality, your conscious mind is thus drawing into the subconscious the working materials necessary for the fulfillment of your desires. Next, state your desires concisely and request the subconscious to work out your problems. Say little about your plans to others. Wait until they materialize. If you planted seeds in your garden, you would not constantly dig them up to show the curious friends. They would never start growing under such treatment. So it is with your thought plans. Every time you talk them over and discuss them, you weaken their power to develop. Cultivate the habit of silence regarding your plans, and you will accomplish the sooner. This, of course, applies particularly to personal matters. Many times business matters must be discussed, but even matters of this type should only be talked over with people who can give intelligent and helpful advice. idle conversation, negative thoughts, careless criticisms, all are found on the path that leads to failure. All great successes in life are the result of conscious or unconscious acceptation of these general rules. First think, then choose, then bend every effort, mental and moral and physical, toward accomplishment. We have all read the old fairy stories of the cruel witches who compelled the poor children to work beyond their strength, and of how every little while some good child would fall asleep over the hard work that she had carefully commenced. Immediately, the fairy folk would come swarming in and finish every bit of the work that had been started or planned. The fairies of the subconscious mind will do the same work, but it must be started before they can work on it. Then they will keep adding cheerfully day and night until it is finished. In everyday life, we see numerous instances of men and women who accomplish so much more than their fellow workers that they are called phenomenal. Those who accomplish through force and use of nervous energy become physical wrecks in a few years. Others who know how to conserve their energies, depending on the work of both the conscious and subconscious minds and the aid of the universal consciousness, grow younger rather than older and develop with the years instead of deteriorating. Using the subconscious mind is so easy that it seems very difficult. Just treat it as you would an intimate friend. Talk to it and believe in it, using the same faith that enables the competent pilot to steer the boat past the most dangerous shoals on the darkest night. He cannot see, but he feels and knows. A simple method practiced by many with great success consists of a habit of holding a conversation with the subconscious mind every night before going to sleep after this manner. A number of things have gone wrong today for which I was entirely to blame, and I have impressed you with a number of error thoughts which I know will impede my progress. So I ask you to erase all memory of my bad temper, the gossip I have taken valuable time to heed, the idle chatter I have uttered, the unkind acts I have committed, the jealous thoughts I have entertained, and instead keep only the good thoughts and kind acts and sensible words. I desire to be able to put more confidence in myself, and I ask you to assist me in obtaining this result. No matter what your request may be, so that it does not mean the influencing of another person. If you ask with real faith and belief, keeping your mind well poised and free from agitation, repeating your request not only at night, but several times during the day, as the matter occurs to you, you will soon begin to note changes. In a short time, your friends will remark upon the change, and in time, your desire will be manifested. If, on the other hand, you are like the old lady who prayed to have the mountain removed, and the next morning looked out and said, "There, I just knew the old mountain would be there," your progress will be just as hers was, stopped. In connection with this use of the subconscious mind, you must, of course, use discrimination. For example, you have the right to desire and expect improvement in a condition such as health, wealth, success, and happiness. But you must not desire this to come to you through someone else, nor in any special way. You simply make a request, consider the features of your problem carefully, and then pass them on to your subconscious mind, feeling that you have dismissed the entire matter from your mind as you would by dropping it through a trap door. Knowing that your desires will come later as a result of this work, pass on to the other subjects until you again feel compelled to repeat the process. With a beginner, it may even be necessary to make the assertion, "I dismiss this matter from my mind and give it to my subconsciousness for consideration." Then go about your business and wait for results. Possibly because of some little forgotten worry or fret, results may not come as expected. Very well. Commence your work all over again, knowing that you can obtain results just as soon as you set to work properly. Never get discouraged or out of temper, but persevere in spite of all setbacks. Your reward will be certain. Often, it is an excellent idea to commence your experiment with a very simple proposition, one that requires an answer for the next day, and then try to make your request at night. Believe you will get it. Dismiss the matter from your mind and go to sleep. If you have followed directions You will usually receive a reply in the morning in the guise of an impression that will be best for you to do a certain thing in a certain manner. The use of the subconscious is a fascinating subject and one that needs much consideration in a number of ways. Some of these we shall continue to discuss. Chapter 12. Suggestion and autosuggestion. Their uses. The spirit of the plague entered the gate. One watching asked, "How many wilt thou take?" 1,000, spake the spirit, is my quest. The plague made end. The spirit left the gate. The watcher cried, 10,000 didst thou slay. Nay, one, the spirit cried. Fear killed the rest. With all the investigation, curiosity, and real interest exhibited in every form of science, it is still strange how many otherwise intelligent people speak of suggestion and autosuggestion as though they were some forces not to be used by ordinary people. Yet we are all affected by suggestion every day. If we are strong, the impression may be neither deep nor lasting, but we are affected just the same. Suggestion does not necessarily mean speech or the exhibition of some occult power. For instance, a friend enters the room frowning. Immediately his face suggests to us that he is displeased. He may even try to control his expression, but we know, though he is trying to keep the truth from us. The warm grasp of a hand can convey a suggestion of encouragement or friendliness, while the face expresses nothing and the lips are silent. The sweet odor coming in at the windows tells us that the garden is in bloom. You can even detect certain flowers though you do not see them. The moment food is placed in your mouth, you can distinguish sweet from sour, or even know what you're eating, though the cook may have tried to mislead you. The sound of music varies often, but you can tell the difference between the amateur and the artist, the little German band and Sousa. The beggar woman knows if she looks too well dressed, she will receive no alms. She affects rags. The businessman knows that a shabby appearance is detrimental. He makes every effort to appear at his best. Add to the evidence of the senses the spoken word, and your method of suggestion will be stronger. For instance, greet a friend with the phrase, "How badly you look. I think you are threatened with an illness," and you may send him back home homesick. Ignore his appearance and tell him of some amusing incident, and he will feel better all day. Are any of your family tired? Sympathy is better expressed by changing the subject than by saying, "You poor thing, how tired you are. That work is just killing you." On the other hand, tell a friend how well she looks. Immediately her eyes brighten, her face lights up, and she is better. Tell a pupil she is doing well, and you will see an instant response in facial expression. Tell her she is stupid and hopeless, and she will stop all endeavor. That is why, when ill or depressed, it is well for one to get away from all whose face or words suggest more illness or more troubles. Relax, breathe deeply, and insist that from the universal consciousness a fresh supply of strength and courage may be obtained and is coming to you that very moment. The question is often brought up to me, do you think it is presumption to affirm power, health, wealth, wisdom, harmony? Is it lacking in respect to the Creator? The answer is indeed simple. In the beginning, Lord created heaven and earth. Since the beginning, every person born must have, then, the elements of divinity within. These elements need only recognition and development. Therefore, to say you have these attributes and can develop them is recognizing and appreciating the Creator in an endeavor to improve. Every instant you live, you create something, either good or evil. Autosuggestion or affirmation of the good will help you to create constructively and keep your resolution strong. Therefore, your possession of that which must have been created in your mind before you could desire is practical and scientific. The moment you plant the desire for success seed in your mind, you are simply acknowledging the act by asserting, "I am success," For you are success in the degree of your own creative ability. If you planted a flower seed in your garden, you would not deny the fact nor call the flower a weed. You would say, I have planted an nasturtium. It is a nasturtium. And you would use every effort to make it grow into a perfect flower. Use the same method with your thought seeds. Chapter 13. Practicing Suggestion. You know that you are daily receiving and giving suggestion. Why not then develop the power to give to those near you only helpful suggestions? For instance, in correcting anyone, if you must mention a fault as something to be overcome, be sure to present the picture of what can be done and let that be uppermost in the mind when your interview terminates. If John is inclined to be parsimonious, instead of mentioning this fault, say, John, I know you are inclined to save, but I believe you should also know the joy of giving. If Mary is inclined to be indolent, suggest getting up a little earlier and practicing some physical exercises as an aid to beauty. If the servant is inclined to be impudent but has other good qualities, be especially polite to her and explain how much good breeding can do for everyone. If one of your family is ill, do not listen to nor discuss symptoms. Think of some bright story. Talk of something else. Do anything to change the trend of thought. In this connection, a well-known writer observes, the number of people who have died as the result of the adverse suggestions of well-meaning friends and relatives can probably never be estimated. When physically ill, the person is peculiarly susceptible to suggestion, and it is at this time that one should shower the invalid with health and happiness suggestions, not talk pain and think of funerals. True sympathy consists in an effort to make trouble less, not greater. Hence the advisability of suggesting some thought that will replace the destructive one and cause a far better condition to mind. Fond mothers, devoted wives, loving sisters, dear friends, only too often by their persistency in a notion of duty toward their loved ones, send them so many adverse suggestions that they make bad matters worse. If you really care for anyone, take 10 or 15 minutes a day and spend it thinking for them. This thought letter will do much in cases where it is impossible to visit with the sick one. Make it a rule of your life to hold the health and success thought, send the harmony, well-being, and good cheer thought, and bury the worry and fear thoughts forever. Suggestion and forethought work admirably together for good. Suggestion and fear thought produce only evil results. Suggestion cannot be overestimated as a power, for it forms 9/10 of your opinions. It is suggestion that causes you to desire what you see displayed in the window, and to make up your mind as to whether the buyer for that particular store has exerted good judgment, and the window trimmer has shown skill in displaying the products. It is suggestion that causes you to decide whether a woman is orderly or slovenly, well-bred or vulgar, desirable or undesirable as a neighbor or acquaintance by the manner in which she conducts herself and the way in which she dresses. Your favorite minister suggests to you by his life that religion is a good thing. Your doctor suggests relief from pain, your lawyer good judgment. You attend motion pictures because the actors are clever enough to suggest nearly every emotion. Every act of your own, every expression, every word you utter suggests something, either for good or evil, to someone else. You have the ability and opportunity to choose which way you will use this power, to impress people with the right ideas or the wrong ones, to act as an example for good or a warning of what to avoid, to appear as a success or a failure, to be wretched or happy, poor or prosperous. Chapter 14. Sending Suggestions. Did it ever occur to you to try and alleviate the sufferings of a friend by sending suggestions of health instead of directing a worry thought toward her? I don't know how. You will object immediately. You do know how, or will, if you but follow these very simple directions. All that is necessary is that you be possessed of an earnest desire to cure the sick person, Concentrate your mind on this subject before going to sleep and direct your subjective mind to occupy itself during the night in conveying the suggestion of health to your friend. It is best not to acquaint anyone with your intention, not even the person treated, for this might arouse skepticism and create adverse thought. It is wisest to select nighttime, for during sleep the conscious mind is passive and the subjective mind receptive, and natural sleep being the most perfect passive condition makes it an ideal time to send such a suggestion. Then, too, if you request your subjective mind to continue these suggestions during the night, you will not have to make any effort to concentrate your mind, because you too will be passive when your conscious mind sleeps. One young woman who experimented in this way reports that she has proof that she has helped nearly 200 cases and at the same time is enjoying the best health she has ever known. She attributes it to the fact that she has employed her subjective mind so constantly with health thoughts that they have reactivated favorably upon herself. You may object again. I don't want to appear selfish, but how can my subjective mind do things for me and help heal the sick too? This is possible, just as your objective mind works all day upon a number of things, giving attention first to one thing and then to another until the day's work is done. Follow your regular system of breathing, relaxing, affirming, and requesting. Think intently upon your friend or friends and request your subjective mind to carry the message of health and repeat it until it has been heeded. You may have a friend in deep sorrow. Send her a message of cheerfulness. You may have one who has suffered financial loss. Send her a message of prosperity. Every helpful thought you send out in this way will not only help others, but it will in turn benefit you. Indeed, there are many who assert that their own prosperity and happiness commenced when they learned the fallacy of weeping with their friends and extending worry thoughts, and changed to the art of cheering their friends and sending messages of health, prosperity, success, and happiness. Possibly one explanation for this improvement is that in order to send a message, they were obliged to get their own thoughts into harmonious conditions and went to sleep at peace with themselves and the world. Faith, desire to help, concentration, and the request are the only requirements. Don't delay in your attempt to help others. Begin at once. Chapter 15. Autosuggestion. Suggestion and autosuggestion belong to the same family with this difference. Autosuggestion means conveying a thought, impression, command, or affirmation to yourself, while suggestion is used for someone else. The woman who says, "I will succeed," is practicing autosuggestion. The woman who whines, "I can't succeed," is doing the same. One is conveying a constructive thought to her subconscious mind, the other a destructive thought. Miraculous cures, such as those made at the Lourdes in France, Saint Anne du Beaupré in Canada, the Shrine of Saint Rita, and other similar places, have all been brought about by autosuggestion. Those who have been healed have constantly asserted that when they reached these places, they would be healed, and the faith and constant repetition helped to make their statements true. An autosuggestion is therefore only a statement made to the subconscious mind by the conscious mind. Now, someone will ask, why is it necessary to tell a fact to a mind that knows everything, and then keep on repeating it? For this reason, man's mind are curiously complex and have for many, many years been prone to destructive thought. Hence, they are apt to receive adverse suggestion and be influenced by those two enemies of progress, doubt and fear. Therefore, repetition is advisable, necessary, and helpful, for it strengthens the will and keeps the matter constantly in mind, making it difficult for any adverse thought to protrude itself. For this reason, all mental scientists, Christian scientists, and new thought workers will have used affirmations or autosuggestions in the place of prayer. Keep at your affirmation with faith and will, and your thought will blossom into an act. The small boy who whistles loudest as he goes up a dark street suggests courage to his comrades while he is using the whistle as an autosuggestion to himself of, I am not afraid. The young woman who declares, I will succeed, is using autosuggestion for success. Autosuggestions may be made at any time, though of course the best time of all is when the body is relaxed and the mind clear and free from interruption. For this reason, either after relaxing at night or before arising in the morning have been selected as the times at which such statements are particularly beneficial, though of course they can be made throughout the day as well, and always when needed. To say to yourself when tempted to be impatient, I can control myself, or when annoyed, I am master of the situation, or when perplexed, things will come out right, will help at any time in the day. By remembering that the subjective or subconscious mind is a separate mind and that it has control of the functions of the body, one can often cure a nervous headache by using autosuggestions. For instance, recognizing the fact that your statements will affect your subjective is the first step. Then assert that your headache is leaving and keep at this until you feel a change. Then say, it is growing less, it is growing less. And then the first moment pain has ceased, announce the fact, my headache is cured. Many ailments may be relieved in this manner, the results of cures being in direct proportion to the confidence with which you make your autosuggestions. For use every day, morning and evening, the following form will be found useful and practical, adding to it anything you may desire. In repeating this autosuggestion or affirmation, throw real feeling into every word. Live for the moment with these thoughts, heart and soul, and your benefit will be the greater. If you belong to the doubting class and cannot believe because you will not try, repeat the words anyway. And if you will try this for 1 month, I promise you that you will begin to see reasons why you should believe, practice, and affirm. Daily affirmation for autosuggestion. I am a part of the universal consciousness, therefore I am life, health, wealth, harmony, happiness, success. I think constructively and keep my mind so filled with harmonious thoughts that evil wishes projected by others cannot harm me. I have the power to create desire, develop and obtain that which my desire has created. I hold that which I have attracted because it has come to me as a fulfillment of the law. I fear no one. I hold ill will toward no one. I harm no one. I send out only thoughts of love and harmony to all. I have but to ask, to believe, and to receive. I prosper in the degree of my desire and faith. I am what I am by reason of my own thought, desire, and will expressed to universal consciousness. I make my future by my own acts, desires, and thoughts in the present. The only limit to my advancement is what I place on myself. Chapter 16. The Science of Obtaining. Success in any undertaking comes through the working of a law. It never comes by chance. In the operation of nature's law, there is no such thing as chance or accident. The so-called accidental tumbling of the stone from the mountainside is the result of forces that have been acting through countless ages. You and your fortunes are no more the things of chance than the tree in its earliest growth. You are the product of the elements and that product working through the law. You can, as you find the law, make of yourself what you please. Owing to the fact that for countless years men have thought poverty a natural condition and wealth or prosperity something beyond their reach, it is necessary to repeat the assertion that as a part of universal consciousness, man has a right to expect, desire, and create his own condition. The one important thing is to keep in mind always your oneness with the universal mind. When you separate yourself, even for a moment, you weaken your position. You must know and feel and believe that the currents of happiness, success, and prosperity are flowing towards you all the time. Your part is but to perfect the connection and keep it in working order. This illustration has helped me, and I feel it will do as much for you. Let us compare the conscious mind to the house supplied with electric lights and consider the electric current as coming from a substation, the subconscious mind. More power is needed, so consequently the subconscious mind or substation makes a demand on the main station or universal mind. If the wires are kept properly insulated so that the current is not lost on the way, and if the connection is properly made, both light, wisdom, and power, success, may be secured constantly for the price of endeavor. If, on the other hand, there is a diminution of supply, do not blame the main station or universal mind, for there the current is always ready to use. Look first into the home, see that every connection is right. Then examine the wiring to the substation and make right whatever is wrong, continuing your investigation to the main station so that you may be sure every wire is in working order. Then go home and turn on your light. But you complain the light is so dim. There again, you are master of this situation, for the quantity of light you receive will depend on the number of candle power in the lights you are using. Faith. If you are afraid of expense and use 8 candle power lamps, you cannot expect to get the same amount of light as from 12 or 16 candle power. And if you will but give a little time for investigation, you will find that by using a tungsten lamp, stronger faith, you will secure even more light at no great expense. Another example, and one seen every day in the city parks, is that of a number of people who persist in remaining in the shade, feeling damp and cold and sorry for themselves, when by the least effort they could move into the sun and be warm and comfortable. People of this type enjoy stories of misery and consider a funeral a diversion because it gives them something sad to talk about for days afterward. Happiness, health, prosperity are all at your command if you will but realize the truth. You must believe and feel your oneness with this supply. Then you can honestly say each day, I am success, I am health, I am abundance, because you have made the connection and you have planted the seed of health, success, and abundance in your mind. And as all people desire these special attributes, it is well to assert your possession as you take your deep breaths, or when walking, or whenever you have a few moments of so-called desire. No matter how ill you may feel, do not dwell on the fact, but consider this is only the physical body, suffering from some of the laws you have broken, while the real you is and can always be well if you think constructively. No matter what conditions seem to be when you think of success, say, I am success now. Because to give conscience recognition is to increase power, And after you have pictured and created a cause, you must constantly recognize it. It may be you need the very trying experiences that have come to you in order to develop self-control or faith or ability to act or self-confidence. One of the students who took up this work was just in the act of declaring for success one day when a fire broke out in the office in which she was employed. She arose to the occasion, directed the removal of the books, and showed such excellent executive ability that, although she was somewhat injured and did lose many of her personal effects, she received a recognition for her splendid mental qualities, an advancement in salary, and a much better position. In considering and desiring abundance, never allow a limited thought to enter your mind. Think of the abundance of air, of light, of rain. Consider the millions that are being spent recklessly everywhere in the world. Realize that to have abundance means enough for all your wants and necessities and desires, as well as a surplus. And then see yourself as having plenty and assert, I am abundance. If a bill is presented or you have any debts, pay them willingly, even joyfully, knowing that the money is only being put in circulation and will return to you. If you aid another, give with your heart as well as your hand, for you must live as well as think abundance. Stop moaning about expense and the high cost of living. These same complaints have been given in every age. Insist not only to yourself that there is enough for everyone and that you intend to have what you desire, but in discussing matters with others, let them know your beliefs so that they may not impress you with theirs. No matter what you desire, the rules that have been given for obtaining health, success, and abundance may be used, taking up each subject in turn and considering it, making your assertion and then dismissing it. Many consider the best work can be done at night, because before making any assertion, you can calmly consider what you desire, banish every undesirable thought, and say to yourself as a preliminary exercise, my mind is in a harmonious condition, hence I am in harmony. Keep repeating this until you feel perfectly calm and well poised and free from any of the little trials, and then go on with your affirmation for health, abundance, success, and anything else you desire. If you have the time to repeat this practice during the day, it will help you so much more and hasten your realization. Just keep your resolution to the sticking point, knowing that any failure to accomplish comes not from the fact that the accomplishment is impossible, but simply because you have overlooked someone of the necessary factors. Stop and consider what they are. Overcome destructive qualities, develop constructive qualities. Learn what to desire and the necessity for stating your desire plainly. Create a clear mental vision, keeping your mind in a harmonious condition. Believe and realize your oneness with the universal consciousness. Affirm daily your possession of qualities now desired. If you fail to accomplish, you will invariably find that you have overlooked some point and that some wire is out of order. Repair it at once, being thankful to have discovered your error, and start your work over again, knowing that you will succeed. In short, obliterate from your vocabulary the word can't, for to you it does not exist and should not be allowed where one is building for a future. Summary. A man cannot speak, but he judges himself. With his will or against his will, he draws his portrait to the eye of his companion by every word. You cannot do wrong without suffering wrong. Men suffer all their life long from the foolish superstition they can be cheated. But it is impossible for a man to be cheated by anyone but himself, as for a thing to be and not to be at the same time. There is a third silent party to all our bargains. The nature and soul of things take on the guarantee of the fulfillment of every contract, so that honest service cannot come to loss. In the chapters that have gone before, step by step, the various conditions of mind have been considered as to creation, growth, development. You realize perhaps better than before that your thought, though invisible, is as real as the air. It goes from you to the improvements of others, or it may be sent out with a destructive force. It returns to you in the same manner, either as help or a detriment. Like electricity, it may be turned into a tremendous power to flash messages of encouragement, help, and instruction to every part of the globe, or it may be used in a way that will be only of minor importance. To begin thinking constructive thoughts today will take care of your future development, but they will not keep you from paying the penalty of the destructive thoughts you have sent out in the past. Correct thinking will, however, help you bear your trials with equanimity and strengthen your resolution so to live that you will not be obliged to repeat the experience. The law is exact and sure. You cannot evade it by any expedient, but by ceasing to resist and by acknowledging this truth, you will live more happily in the present while building for your serene, successful, and prosperous days to come. Then, too, as you understand the workings of this law, instead of losing heart and faith when things go a bit wrong, you will know that you are only paying in experience for thoughts in which you indulged before your attempt at reconstruction. In your progress, it is well to consider many conditions. Therefore, I ask your attention to the following subjects as I feel they will have an important bearing on your degree of success. Your appearance. Are you careful to look your best at all times, to make the most of your good points and disguise your bad ones? Or are you careless, thinking and maybe saying, "What's the use? I'm too busy about other things"? If you are, let me remind you that the world takes you at your valuation. Soiled linen, frayed cuffs, rusty shoes, grease spots, unshaven faces, gowns that want pressing, gloves that need mending, hair carelessly arranged, faces shining and oily, are not the magnets to suggest to anyone that you are either desirable, successful, ambitious, or neat. In fact, it would seem something inside the mind must be wrong to allow so many outward manifestations. Guard your appearance as you would a jewel. Aid nature if you must, but aid her skillfully. Your health. Wonderful things have been accomplished by souls so great that they persevered in spite of bodily infirmities. But still, to all success, health is a wonderful adjunct. Dr. Lewis says, the building of a perfect body crowned by a perfect brain is at once the greatest earthly problem and greatest hope of the race. In this age of mental culture, many are apt to forget the vehicle, not realizing that unless the fuel is supplied, the engine will break down. Cheerful, optimistic thoughts do much. Affirmations of health are excellent. But in addition, there must be the exercise of common sense in sleeping in well-ventilated rooms, exercising in the open air, or at least before an open window. Frequent bathing and changing of clothing, regular hours, using food of real nutritious value, working happily, and relaxing frequently. It is right to refuse to be ill and not to acknowledge it, but it is better to use so much discretion that no such a denial will be necessary. Affirmations of health should be a part of every service, and with them should go the will that makes for health. To desire and invite sickness by careless habits is neither scientific nor sensible. In affirming health, we say, I am health. I think health. I desire health. I use my will to produce health and create new cells to build a better body and a better brain. Your feeling toward your fellow men. The law holds with equal sureness for all right action. Love and you shall be loved. All love is mathematically just as much as the two sides of an algebraic equation. The good man has absolute good and, like fire, turns everything to its own nature so that you cannot do him any harm. To love your enemies is hard, but to hate your enemies means you only punish yourself. Every time you send a resentful, condemnatory, evil, or revengeful thought toward anyone, you are sending out a boomerang that will return to punish you. If at first it is hard to send out loving thoughts toward everyone, you can at least stop by criticizing. You can give affection to those of whom you are fond without demanding any exact return. You can excuse the faults of your friends and love them the more. You can at least ignore your enemies. Don't expect to prosper or go ahead while you have hatred or unforgiveness in your heart. Let go. Relax. Fill your heart with divine love. Realize that all human beings are but part of the wonderful whole, and you will feel too pitifully small and infinitesimal to worry about your own personal grudges and small tribulations. In affirming love, say, I am love, I think love, I feel love, I emanate love to all. Your positive attitude. Be quietly serene and confident. Keep your mind on your subject. When you speak, do not become excited and raise your voice, but maintain a calm, even tone and a placid though determined appearance. These in themselves will gain the attention and respect of those with whom you come in contact. Use tact, concede a little, that you may gain much. Do not argue. Listen and then reply. Do not waste your energy or time trying to convince one who is obstinately determined on something else. Make your statement, impress upon whomever you meet your absolute belief in yourself and whatever you present, and remember your work may bear fruit at some later date, for oftentimes you may be talking to one whose eyes are holden until the time when he may see, and the time when he saw not is as a dream. Affirm, I am success, I am power, I am courage, I am strength. Your passive attitude. To be successfully positive, you must learn how to use your passive nature. Supposing, for instance, intent on your work, you meet someone equally positive. What is the result? A clash. Be determined, but whenever you attempt a new project, be passive enough to receive what the other person has to say. Wait until the subject is exhausted. Bring up point after point. Start the question and leave it. Then assume your positive attitude and win the day. Over-anxiety upon a subject, a desire to accomplish too quickly, may make it difficult for you to assume the passive at will. But keep at it and you will succeed, remembering always that by this passivity alone can you gain the other person's viewpoint. Affirm, I am quietly content to receive information that I may use with positive results. I am success. Your poise. To maintain the even trend of your way under ordinary circumstances is easy. It is when things go suddenly and unexpectedly wrong that you are called upon to prove you are master of the situation by keeping your poise. You may be slandered, reviled, abused, lied about, even insulted, but if you can keep before your mind that those who act in this manner must receive their punishment, that to become angry with those who do wrong is only to punish yourself for their faults, then you will indeed be master of this and other situations, and your progress will be the all more rapid. Many students of thought building fail to realize that unless they can cultivate poise, they fall back every time they lose control of their tempers, indulge in condemnation, self-pity, or any other emotion of the kind. Affirm, I am harmony. I keep my mind so filled with harmonious thoughts that inharmony or evil wishes directed against me cannot harm me. Your faith. Last and most important, when all is said and done, the success of every undertaking, happiness, health, wealth, peace of mind, and progress all would be yours in direct proportion to your supply of faith. In actual life, any great enterprise begins with and takes its first forward step in faith. If you desire, create, and believe your faith will take you through impenetrable paths, up the deepest hills, over the longest roads, to the most coveted goals. If you fail to receive, blame no one but yourself, because no one else can do your thinking for you. Go back, start again, eliminate doubt and fear, remembering you are never too old and it is never too late to start again. The next time, remember to keep your mind filled with constructive thoughts. Work, relax, and affirm, and you will obtain that which you desire. Affirm, I can obtain from universal consciousness that which I desire, if I will but persevere. I have faith in my ability to succeed. My faith is stronger than any adverse suggestions. I am success. We have now reached the end of the reading of Constructive Thought, or How to Obtain What You Desire by Benjamin Johnson. Thank you for joining me. I would love to know what you think about this book. Please leave a comment. Hit the like button. If you know someone that can benefit from these words, please share it with your family, your friends, and subscribe to the channel. Thank you.